It's Wednesday, the 21st of February 2024. Welcome back to Talking Science. These are the science and space headlines you need to know now. Catching you up on the past month that we've been busy. We sneak a peek at Gilmour Space's Eris 1 ready for launch, and a monster black hole gobbling up a star a day. Well, it's been a busy month here at Trekzone Media, so I missed two big stories in the news cycle that are definitely worth a mention before we get into the latest news. First, Equatorial Launch Australia announced the full extent of their launch value to customers, with the design for their horizontal integration facility being released. It'll give customers secure access to their own restricted preparation area, separate from other companies, critical as ELA gathers steam. The Ingenuity helicopter on Mars is the other big story. We've been covering it since it first flew here on Talking Science. It appears to have suffered critical damage during landing on January 18. NASA made the decision a week later to end the hugely successful submission of the Perseverance rover, which was supposed to simply demonstrate the capability of human-made flight on another planet with 5 sorties. But with 72 under her rotors, the American Space Agency has said, "That'll do, pig. That'll do." SmartSat CRC has signed a memorandum of understanding with the New Zealand Space Agency to accelerate the growth of our two space industries. There's $6 million New Zealand dollars worth of funding in the deal, which will allow joint research initiatives across Earth observation, space situational awareness, and optical communications research. Under the new agreement, SmartSat and the NZSA will join forces to develop new capabilities and expertise in the space sector through the advancement of innovation, R&D, and workforce development. The agreement was signed at the NZSA headquarters in Wellington at the end of January. SmartSat has also backed autonomous satellite technology for Australia's in-orbit servicing capabilities even, to the tune of $2.3 million. The new project will develop robotic tech to reliably connect with other satellites to perform in-orbit repairs and maintenance. The program is going to be led by the University of Sydney and supported by New South Wales-based industry partners Abyss Solutions, Ant 61, Space Machines Company, Spirospace and Spiral Blue. The collective goal is to build and demonstrate on-ground and end-to-end software stack for these 4 advanced autonomy technologies into a single working code repository suitable for deployment onto future satellites. Gilmour Space has received $55 million of Series D funding from the Queensland Investment Corporation as it gears up for Test Flight 1 in the coming months. Gilmour's Eris rocket is the first Australian-made rocket that's capable of launching satellites into orbit, and is aiming to help Australia join just 12 other nations in the global community with such a capability. We've also been treated to progress photos at the company's Bowen Launch Complex as their social media team gears up, and I gear up to head north for this launch in the coming months. Very excited. Up in the top end, Singaporean rocket company Equatorial Space Systems has signed a memorandum of understanding with Equatorial Launch Australia for a series of launches of their Dorado family of suborbital rockets. For more, founder and CEO of Equatorial Space, Simon Woosh, is beaming in. Simon, welcome. Tell us about your rocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, by the way. At this point of time, our ongoing development program is in a commercial sounding rocket that we call the Dorado. It's called after the swordfish constellation on the southern sky. And Dorado is designed to carry around 20 kilograms of experiments or technology demonstration payloads into altitudes ranging from 100 to 250 kilometers, depending on the version. So Dorado is quite special as a sounding rocket because it leverages and, in fact, takes to full maturity our proprietary propulsion technologies, which involve a proprietary chemical formulation for hybrid rocket motors, which offer improved simplicity, safety, as well as environmental friendliness to compared to existing sounding rockets. So, fun fact is that Dorado is designed to be 100% free from any pyrotechnic materials or devices, even systems such as parachute deployments and speed separations, and the ignition system itself are all designed to be free from anything that's actually explosive. Now, of course, whenever you're doing compressed gases, such as on board many hybrid rocket motors, including ours, you have to be careful with those. There are things that can go wrong, but we do believe that we are in a process of developing the safest sounding rocket ever and anywhere in the world.
Well, what drew you to ELA as your launch provider?
Well, our interest in equatorial low Earth orbit, which would be a slightly longer-term aspiration aside from suborbital launches, is quite literally enshrined in our company's name, and so it is in theirs, really. So we have been in a loop with the team at ELA for a couple of years. We developed a good relationship, and we figured that considering their proximity to Singapore, where our HQ and principal development work is conducted, would make it an ideal option for a long-term relationship, not just for the sounding rocket operations, but also for the orbital launches.
Well, planning now begins for launches in 2024. What are the major challenges that lie ahead for you and the team?
Well, hybrids are considerably simpler than liquid-propelled rockets, but they are still rockets, and it's still rocket science. So there is a lot of development work that's still lying ahead for us right now. We are undaunted by that. We have dealt with systems of similar complexity, not as a company, but as individual professionals, in many of our engineers' earlier careers. So we have high degree of confidence in being ready this year. However, we are experimenting. By the way, sorry if you don't want to get it too technological, but one of the things that we are currently experimenting with is a chilled nitrous oxide as an oxidizer. Previously, we were using it with the proprietary solid fuel formulation in room temperature in autogenous configuration. And one of the things that we're currently evaluating and is the ignition sequencing, the heat input required to actually establish stable combustion of the soft cryogenic nitrous oxide. So that is one of the challenges that lie ahead. We are developing a comprehensive avionics suite. We'll be collecting telemetry from the vehicle as well as storing it on board for later retrieval. And the payload compartment itself will be recovered in preparations for commercial launches with clients presumably will want to recover their payloads. So there's a number of there's a number of things that we have to get out of the way before we launch, but we're confident we'll have it ready by the end of the year.
Equatorial Space Systems CEO Simon Woosh. Initially, ESS will leverage the spaceport's existing infrastructure, which saw 3 successful suborbital launches for NASA in 2022. And it comes on the back of Innerspace signing on with ELA late last year. Looking forward to those launches. Well, our understanding of how galaxies form and the nature of dark matter could be completely upended after new observations of a stellar population bigger than the Milky Way from more than 11 billion years ago that shouldn't exist. The paper published this week in Nature details findings using James Webb Space Telescope data. The results find that a massive galaxy in the early universe, observed 11.5 billion years ago with a cosmic redshift of 3.2, has an extremely old population of stars formed much earlier, 1.5 billion years earlier, in fact. The observation upends current modelling as not enough dark matter has built up in sufficient concentrations to seed their formation. Swinburne University of Technology's distinguished Professor Carl Glazebrook led the study, and the international team who used the JWST for spectroscopic observations of this massive quiescent galaxy. The formation of galaxies is a fundamental paradigm underpinning modern astrophysics and predicts a strong decline in the number of massive galaxies in early cosmic times. Extremely massive quiescent galaxies have now been observed as early as 1 to 2 billion years after the Big Bang, which challenges previous theoretical models. The fastest growing black hole ever recorded, devouring the equivalent of one sun every day, has been discovered by researchers at the Australian National University. Lead author, Associate Professor Christian Wolff, said it's a record he doesn't think will ever be beaten, because with the incredible rate of growth comes an intense amount of heat and light, making it 200 trillion times brighter than our sun. Its mass is around 17 billion times that of our star, and was first detected by the Siding Spring Observatory in New South Wales before the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope trained its ears and confirmed the findings. Australian commercial imaging company HEO Robotics has captured images of ESA's ERS-2 Earth observation satellite, making its final journey in orbit almost 30 years since it was launched. The European Remote Sensing 2 satellite spent 16 years observing the planet from orbit until the conclusion of its mission in 2011, when the European Space Agency performed dozens of deorbiting manoeuvres over 2 months, and now it's finally expected to burn up in the atmosphere, with some smaller pieces expected to fall into the ocean next week. Well, Trekzone membership gets you in first releases and first details. With a few tiers and a few options, you can help Australia's only science, space and science fiction podcast pick up the pace in 2024. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube Shorts all have podcast highlights, so find us where you are. For now, this is Talking Science for the 21st of February, 2024.